All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and our elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing and many salutations unto you elect across the four winds of this earth, fulfilling your lots, pushing this truth in all sincerity and all truth, making sure you're doing your all to give all diligence to make your calling and election sure, especially as we sojourn here in this strange land with us being pilgrims. Even the Apostle Peter talked about making sure that we have our sojourning here with fear. All right, because this isn't our home. This is not our home. This is only temporary. All right, and that's really what I want to touch up on today. Just for all of us to make sure that we're constantly fighting, constantly offering up sacrifice, constantly doing the things that we got to be doing. All right, because focusing on the unseen and focusing on the eternal is going to keep your eye focused. It's going to keep your eye single so you can keep the main thing, and that's the kingdom of heaven. All right, because there's a lot of distractions that are out here, different things that I hear that are enticing to the flesh to make you want to grasp on and such. That's the thing about it. Satan desires your flesh. All right, Satan desires your flesh. And as we're here, it's a constant fight that we got to do every day. Fight against this flesh, fight against the thoughts that we deal with, fight against the ailments in our flesh that we got to deal with, fight against the world. All right, it's a fight at the end of the day. And it's a lot of weight that you're carrying with this flesh. And the Apostle Kabar talks about this often, and he words it how this flesh is the bane of our existence, man. So that word bane goes into death, you know. And I mentioned earlier that we should continue to focus on making the main thing, you know, because you got people that are out there. All right, and I mean, we're very familiar with it, you know, and it can be entertaining, you know, when you look at the people like Kevin Samuels and such, and he talks about the high value man, and, you know, and just when it comes to your image in this world, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, you know, you want to make sure you keep the things, the priorities, even in your life. But another thing is making sure that we're not engulfed and entangled with the affairs of this life. And the reason why I'm really getting at this, reason why I'm bringing this up, all right, because you don't want to get too focused on the things that are temporal, the things that are pertaining to this flesh, to the point where you get to shun spiritual things. All right, and that could definitely happen. Okay, and I mentioned the people like Kevin Samuels earlier. They love to talk about this high value man image, this high value male image and such, which really they don't give you the source to become high value. You know, worldly aspect they do. When it comes to spirituality and such, that's not true. That's not true, man. You know? And that actually leads me to this precept here. And this isn't in trance, and I'm just really rolling in the spirit right now as I'm on my way home from work. But I was just doing some meditating. And we had actually done a lesson earlier today. You know, the brothers Yat Nazak and Tazaman and myself, we had did a live show earlier going into Hebrews the 11th chapter. When we read that chapter, it goes into our fathers, the different elders that have obtained a great report through faith. All right, and that report that they've made is even documented unto this day for us to follow. And when you look at our fathers, they kept the main thing. It was easy for them. It could have been easy for them to shine in the world. Look at people like Abraham, for example. Abraham taught Pharaoh and those Egyptians knowledge of how the circuits of the stars and the sun of the moon works. Joseph did the same thing. Moses was taught up in the ways of ancient Egypt. And when you really look at Moses' history, you can even read about it in the writings of Flavius Josephus. Moses was like up and coming to become like Pharaoh pretty much, man. And that's a very big deal. So what that shows you is our people can easily have notoriety in this place if we really wanted to. We could do all these things if we really wanted to, but at the end of the day, when you got your mind set toward immortality, eternity, it's a light thing to toss all that stuff to the side, especially since we have an understanding that we're going to get so much more in abundance, you know? And I said I was going to read this here in Hebrews, the 11th chapter and the 15th verse. I'm going to start at verse 15, and I'm going to read down to verse 16. And it says, and truly, if they had been mindful of the country, and the they is going into our fathers, all right, it's going into our ancestors, that was in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that had their mind set toward the eternal. They had their mind set toward the infinite and not the finite. They had their mind set on heavenly things and not things on this world. Okay? So it says, and truly, if they had been mindful of the country from whence they came out, they might have opportunity to have returned. And I brought up the examples of Abraham, all right, when he was in Ur of the Chaldees. He pretty much was a foreigner. He was a stranger in Babylon. All right? You best believe, man, with the amount of notoriety and knowledge that Abraham and his house had, you know, he came from a wealthy man who was Terah. So he could have easily been in that land booming, making money. You know? He could have easily did that with no problem. But he had the Heavenly Father, I'd rather say, put the spirit on him to focus on something bigger, something that wasn't going to break, something that wasn't gonna die down throughout time and get transferred somewhere else. He had his mind to another purpose. And I brought up the example earlier with Moses. That's another example. All right, Moses forsook Egypt. You can read about it in Acts the 7th chapter when our father Stephen's going into Moses, how he was brought up in the knowledge of the Egyptians. All right, he was a warrior. He understood war. He understood the lands. He understood how to judge. He was wealthy. He could have easily returned unto that state. But he chose the meek route. He chose the humble route that was going to guarantee him everlasting life. And these are our fathers. All right, these are our fathers. So just as they had these mindsets, we have to have this mindset, and that's why this reminder is written right here, because he's going into it when you read it here. So I'm going to continue, and I'm going to continue to further to explain. But it says in verse 16, but now they desire a better country, that is, in heavenly. Wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city. So think about your sacrifices that you've made, the different things that you sacrificed, lands that you sacrificed, families that you forsook, opportunities that you forsook for the word's sake. Look at how precious in the eyes of the Lord that sacrifice is, that you mortified those members to focus on the infinite. And that's why I wanted to touch up on this, man, because I brought up the example earlier, and I'm not going to harp on this, but as I was just doing some thinking earlier today, I was harping on these few verses, and I was reading this, and it made me think about that country that's to come, which is New Jerusalem, right? And we did a lesson last Saturday going into how the New Jerusalem, or the kingdom of heaven that's going to be on earth, it starts within our mind. It starts within our mentality on how we see things. That's where it starts. And later on, that's going to be made manifest into an actual image of a pleasant country that's going to have the streets paved in gold and the buildings made of the precious stones and the gates of the pearls and such. That's going to be made manifest. But guess what? That is a reflection of the righteous state. That's going to be a reflection of the righteous. All right? Yeah, the kingdom's going to be beautiful. The city's going to be beautiful. The trees are going to be beautiful. The foundations are going to be laid. It's going to be a very beautiful sight to see, and we're excited about it. That's why we do what we do, so we can expect this. But as I mentioned earlier, going into it in Revelation 21, where it goes into the imagery of the beautiful city, that is a reflection of the righteous, of us. All right, it starts with us first. It starts with the elect first. Hey, Jerusalem's even considered a people before it's a place. All right, and I keep on bringing this up, but I keep going to another point. But like I mentioned earlier, the whole Kevin Samuel things, and he focuses on the different attributes and accolades that a man must have in order to be considered a high-value man. Well, if you want to prosper in this world, in this society, yeah, that's going to help you. But we're in a society that's crumbling. It's crumbling. And Kevin sees it. All these people see it. This place is waning. It's dead. All right, it's on. America's on its last leg. And it's very important for us to be believers, not to get caught up in the glitz and glamours of what this world brings, what it shows. Because really, it's just an illusion. That high value male look, what they talk about. Oh, this is how you can have beautiful women and this, that, and the third, and yada yada yada, side pieces and this, that, and the third. Man, that is an illusion, man. It don't matter. It don't matter. Yeah, there's the different channels that are out there to help a young man have more confidence and build more confidence so he can maneuver out through this society. And if it helps you, by all means, hey, make it happen. But don't let that deter you off from the path, because it can easily do that when you start taking advice from these different guys about how to get a bunch of women, how to get a bunch of money, how to do all these different things. You remember Satan tempted Yahushua when he was fasting, and he showed Yahushua all the different riches that Satan promised to him if he would just bow down unto him. All right, and look at it in this terms. In these days, you might not necessarily be bowing down to Baal or bowing down to the image of Baphomet, but look at the things that you're putting your time in. Look at the things you're devoting your time in. Look at what a lot of focus is going on. Is it focused on the Lord, on how to build the Lord's enterprise, or how to build an enterprise here in America and maneuver through here? And what are you going to do when it gets depleted and destroyed? By constantly taking Kevin Samuel's advice and all these people's advice. Don't get me wrong, neither. The man is very entertaining to watch, especially how he puts a lot of these women in their places and shows them pretty much a mirror reflection of themselves. You know? And he even does give good advice on to be a young man and how to really maneuver through the society and gain more. But that's if you want to maneuver through the society and if you want to make a name and a trademark in the society. And what I'm saying is, don't get too bent up on that, because we are pilgrims. This is pilgrimage right here. And we have something better. Focusing on the Lord, focusing on his work, focusing on the ministry, starting with us men. All right, but even unto you women as well. All right, and again, this goes to all the elect. All right, but it has to start with the men, and I have to make that announcement as well. All right, because we are going to be the rulers in the kingdom that's to come. And I mentioned earlier, when you read Revelation 21, where it goes into the walls and it goes into the foundation and it goes into the statures of the wall and how it's going to be 144 cubits, which is the size of an angel and such, and the beauty and the glamour of it. But again, even though that is going to be the outer glamour of the city, we have to remember Jerusalem's a people before it's a place. And the kingdom of heaven starts within. All right. Hey, the scriptures say in Isaiah either 12 or 13, in that day I shall make a man more fine than gold, even the precious gold of Ophir. And Ophir was known for its high level gold. And the Lord said he's going to make a man more valuable than even that. All right. And that doesn't come with being a high value man in America, listening to these guys' advice on how to get abundance here. No, that goes with giving diligence to make your calling and election sure. That goes with having a good report of faith, believing that the Most High is and that he is a rewarder to them that diligently seek him. And I mentioned earlier, keeping the main thing, that's going to manifest a kingdom. That's going to manifest a kingdom, and that's what we're looking for. That's what we want. All right. And I mentioned earlier, going into the cities of gold and jewels and such. Hey, is it not written in Malachi, the 3rd chapter, in the 17th verse, where he says, I shall make up my jewels in that day? And it's talking about us. Okay? But that's only gonna, I mean, at the end of the day, it's gonna happen regardless. But if you desire to be the creme de la creme of that number, if you desire to be of the first fruits, there's a particular job that we have to do in the way that we got to carry ourselves. And going into that, there's things that we have to forsake here and disconnect from, like our fathers did. Like the example was read in Hebrews 11 and 15. How they understood and they confessed that they were sojourners in a strange land. And how they could have easily returned, but they didn't do it. And that takes faith, man. It makes me think about Babylon. It makes me think about the world. There ain't nothing here to return to. Yeah, it's a matrix. Yeah, there's certain things that look good. But it's all a game at the end of the day, man. You trying to get the baddest chick and bag all these hoes. It's a game and it's a weight that comes with it. Trying to get all this money. It's so much loss that comes with it. So much of a headache trying to do it. When you can just be. All right? Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying it like you just let everything go and you live in under a rock. If you have things you got to take care of being a man, you got to take care of your things. You got bills to pay. Pay your damn bills. And this is for you, you younger believers that are coming in. I don't want to give off a misunderstanding that I'm just saying just put everything to the side. But keep your mind focused on the kingdom. All right? Keep your mind set on the kingdom and know that once your mind is focused on that, can't nothing stop you. Can't nothing stop you. And you're going to be that high value man. Not that these Instagram models and such is looking for. No. But you're going to be that high value man that the Lord is looking for. Okay? For you believers, you are going to be high value. This is what makes you high value, is knowledge. This is what makes you gold, jewels, is knowledge. All right? Not about your notoriety in this land. And I believe I touched up on the point again, and I was really just flowing through the spirit, but I really wanted to talk about this, man, because even when you read it in Isaiah the 60th chapter, going into the building of the kingdom of heaven and such, and how it says we're going to have the forces of the Gentiles, when you continue to read that, it says that we are going to be called a perpetual excellency, man. And these are things that are unseen. These are things that aren't even seen in the flesh, man. But we believe this. So knowing this, man, this should really move us to be on fire. It should really move us to be on point and want to be those individuals, want to please the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Be that perpetual excellency. Again, I'm going to end it off here. Just as you read about the foundation of the city of New Jerusalem and the gold and the jewels and everything, that's perpetual excellency. But just know and think it is first. When it comes to that, that's a reflection of you and your glory. That's a reflection of you in your glory. The kingdom of heaven is within. Remember that. And it's going to be made manifest. So Lord's willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing and many salutations unto you elect across the four winds of this earth, fulfilling your lots in all truth and sincerity. Shalom.